This is the November 7th Finance Committee at 6:17. In attendance is Mr. Wolf, Ms. Olson, as a member of the public, Mr. Miller, and from the administration, Ms. Haynes. Okay, since hopefully we'll have Mr. Rathgeb joining us, why don't we start with the collections? That's pretty simple.
Yes, Portnoy is the current collector for all the taxes, and they're just asking that we re-up the contract through December of '21. I have no issue with it because they're doing a phenomenal job, so.
Okay, my question is, well, partly you answered it, but how successful have they been? I mean, what's the metric that we're tracking that says whether?
I'm doing the percentage of collection, and we're still at the 98%, so I feel that they're consistent in what they're doing. And we're not
That's
having any
no
issues.
better or worse than what we were?
It's a little better than what we were before, just using the county, but it's consistent since then.
Okay.
Current chairs.
Denise, if we're not going to have a full board, if you want to come up and get a comfortable seat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Miller doesn't bite?
Not usually.
Okay. So hopefully we'll have another member here to make the recommendation. I would assume Mr. Miller is, if you have any questions as public on it?
No.
Okay. All right, then let's do the next item, or is this the only other
The
item?
only other item,
Okay, the budget.
yes. All right, we're going to start with the historical data. This is a new format for the 5-year plan. The first,
Is it okay if I grab them?
yeah, you can grab those, yeah. Yep, we'll get Dave when he comes in.
Yeah.
All right, so this is just a lot of historical data, just showing you the direction, and there's some points I want to just point out as we go through this. The ADM, the acute poverty, and the poverty level, the LEP students, that was more informational. The poverty is what they use for the BEF funding. The second section down shows you some historical data on where we are with special education. Just want to draw the attention, as we've discussed in the past, all the coding that's been changed.
What
But-
is LEP students?
Oh, LEP is limited English proficiency.
Ah, okay. Another
Just tells you
acronym.
how many students are there. The special education section, it's giving you the district enrollment, the percent of district enrollment to the state, the expenditures, what we get reimbursed, and what it's costing the district. You can see it's up to about 7 million in 1819. The next section is, of course, everyone's favorite, charter cyber. That is actually on track to be less in special education for the tuition rates. As we were bringing, like we were doing the coding, and we're getting everything streamlined and up to date with, updating to PDE specifications. And actually, the 19 rate is actually under, the 1920 is under the 1819 rate, which is good. So our tuition rate's going down there a little bit. The next section is staffing. This just shows you where we are as a district with administrators, classroom teachers, other professional staff, and compared to the district, the county, and the state, the averages. That gives you an idea. The financial, that's just a snapshot of where we are. It also, one item I want to point down is the personal income, the median household income right underneath it. It's saying on the average, Daniel Boone people have gone up $4,000 in 1 year in income. And that directly goes back to our aid ratio. So it affects what we get in aid. If our people in our little area are actually making more money, then we don't need that much aid. So it's decreasing the aid.
The poverty rate staying about the same?
About the same, and it's an odd formula. There's been other business managers that have been fighting it, but we don't know how to that poverty, that income, the median household income is setting off the aid ratio and making it less. Okay, the last section is transportation. You could see we had a year of a little bit of anomaly because, the transportation trying to get that consistent, and now we have it consistent now to where everything's routed properly and there's one person in there and cleaned up a little bit. Alright. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay. Second is the land use and assessed values. It compares Daniel Boone to the intermediate and the county. However, in that last column in 2018, I was still waiting for someone to get back to me. So 17 and 18 for the intermediate unit and the county are the same down there, but it is updated for Daniel Boone at the top. I just can't find the data source for that, so I just left it the same. Gives you a good idea of how the assessment values go up. I was averaging at almost 1% over the last few years annually.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay.
You just see the commercial, the average in the county is 18%, and we're at 9%.
Yeah, for the
Half
industrial,
of
I
it,
saw that too.
yes. It's a sad number.
We do have a couple properties that are in the overlay districts that'll be coming out
It'll
in the
come
next.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so may affect it somewhat.
And there is some commercial coming online in Amity Township as well. I don't know if it's enough to bump that number, that 3.1 up at all, but there is some commercial coming
You mean in
coming
the,
forward.
along the 422 corridor?
Yeah, stuff that was
that's-
just field and now it's something,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right, so on to the main, this is the budget right here. I have it on a one-pager. We have the 18-19, the audit's just about done, so those numbers are pretty final, unless something comes out of the woodwork, but those are pretty final right there. So your ending fund balance, in the top section, it gives you your total expenditures, total revenues, any surplus or deficit going off through the years. I've got it out to 24, 25. I put the ending capital budget, the ending fund balance for non-spendables, that is your prepaids. It's just a number that coincides with one of the accounts on the balance sheet as prepaid items. Because as we go into contracts, like I think they were just talking about a contract today, they can get a 3-year contract for Naviance, and it's a good deal. So they want to sign the 3-year contract, and then we put it into prepaid. It wouldn't be expensive, it'd be expensive. So that's what that item up there is. The assigned is what you all just approved to move the 700,000 out of. So that 2.9 million that's sitting there is what makes up the difference between the expenditures and the revenue in the year that's in the red. But it also has the $700,000 in there that I transferred out for 1920. So you can see the 2 years, it goes from 2987 to $1 million, because that's all that will be left in there. And the final one is your unassigned. Your unassigned is at 1819, 3.3 million. And then when you go to 1920, that's where I moved the 700,000 into there and cleaned up any excess that came in, because I think we had like a $1.2 million deficit when we budgeted for 18-19, but we only came in at 621.
What was the, was there a particular line item or line items that made up that? Roughly
Kinda just-
$9 million?
It's right around where the charter school was, because it was one of our worst years, and then we got a little additional revenue, so it's kind of like a combination of different things. It's not like one set item that the bulk of it was in.
Mhm.
It's a combination. Down to, so that's going to be your snapshot at the top. So it's going to show you that over the years, the way that I've budgeted, the way that I've forecasted out and projected out through the 5-year thing, you can see that our goal is to be between a 6 and an 8% fund balance is what we're trying to achieve for the unassigned. And then also maintain a healthy capital budget. Now, in doing that, I know that it shows back in 24-25 that we're at about a 770,000 loss, but I feel like that's so far out, depending on what we can do with charter and other projects that we have on the table that we're looking for cost-saving measures, we could possibly reduce that down a little bit.
Now, does the farther years have any impact of the refinance of the bonds that we're talking about doing?
This has the current one that's on the table now.
Mhm.
It does not have what we're going to be doing in January.
Okay. And that's, what series were those? Were 15?
14 and 15.
14, yeah.
14 just happened, or will.
That was a
will be
large
signed.
that was a large offer if I recall, right?
Yeah, I think we ended up at a,
So
yes. it was-
that would be, depending on what the interest rate, that could be pretty substantial.
If it
okay.
stays the same it is, we could probably do double what we did, basically the 600
Mhm.
times 2, so that will help. The next section down is where the expenditures are. It's broken out, just by the object codes. And this is what I have projected based on, I have the new teacher contract in there, all the salaries are in line, they're who we have, and it's based on contract, but we do have contracts ending in 2 of them, I think the admin and the support in 21, and the teachers, of course, they just got signed, so they'll be out a few years.
Yeah, the transportation, is that predominantly the buses we added to the middle school? For overcrowding, the difference of,
Yes. Now, I think there's going to be a reduction in transportation because they were able to go down 2 buses,
Mhm.
but also there was a substantial amount of overage and mileage that was being done. And when Joelle went through and revamped everything and got it all cleaned up, but we're not going to see that, and I need to see the savings. I got to see where that is. The actual, when we filed for the state subsidy, it was one of the cleanest reports I've seen in a while, so. We'll see where that comes out. Yeah, the interest bonds and the principal bonds, those are all the updated numbers I just got from Lou today. And if you notice the columns across the top, you have your actual for 18-19, of course, is your first one. And then where I budgeted 19-20 when we did the budget back in June. But then I put the next column as our forecast column because, I had to add the teacher's contract and there were some other items that I wanted to make corrections on. So I'm showing you where I think we are, where we did a budget at a $1.2 million loss. I really think it's going to be a gain of, I know it's measly 5,000, but at least it's in the green.
Is it primarily because of the increased tax revenue?
The tax revenue, there were some updates there. There was also
The
some
bond
updates,
restructuring.
the bond restructuring, but there was also their state revenue came in. They finalized some numbers and had it on the website. Just
So-
a few changes here and there.
There's like $1 million difference between the budget and the forecast for
Mhm.
current real estate taxes.
Yes. And it was based on assessment.
where's the, so the millage for going out, you're assuming it's the same?
Oh, I did a .75,
So there's a built-in increase in here.
a .75.
Where's that?
But not for the forecast, you mean
No,
for future
For
years?
future years.
So for 2021, and it says in here somewhere, I've been,
Yeah, I was,
is it,
I have it on I don't know where they have, I have it on my other sheet that I use. Let me see. Yeah, it's across the, that's the retirement. Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, I missed that. I've been adding to this as I'm going along. I'll put the millage across. It's on my other one that I use as the financial input one.
Yeah, because it, I mean,
I
it
don't-
looks,
you
I
need
mean,
to
it
see
loo-
it.
it looks stable, and you want to see a stable financials, but you're already building in, you know, a decision to increase taxes that hasn't been
I've
made.
only put in what we've normally done in the past, and yeah, I definitely need to communicate that. But under the premise, I did that because I think we need to keep a fund balance going and our capital, because our buildings really, really need help. If you notice, like when I built in that 0.75, I'm trying to build the fund balance across the top. I did put in, and of course, these are just forecasted numbers, preliminary numbers. If you look at the last item down for fund transfers, in order to keep us in line, to keep us under the 8%, but also keep building the fund balance, and also for the capital, I have 1.5 million for the 2 years. Because right now, we're doing a lot of projects in 1920, but I know we need to build, we're gonna deplete some of the funding. So I need to start building back up the capital to start on the next round of projects.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's difficult to show when you're looking at a 5-year, if you're gonna post a 5-year budget, what happens is everyone looks at, well, the tax, you know, what the tax rate, well, you're building in a tax increase every year, but the board hasn't voted on it. And people tend to focus on the numbers that they see,
Right.
even though they're gonna be different. And then the tax, that's just, it's my personal opinion, everyone else may have their
Well,
own,
we can keep
that
it
you just,
flat.
that you have that decision made for the previous year, and then let that first year's budget, you know, have the board at that time decide what the millage is going to be. But I wouldn't want to necessarily show a progressive tax increase year over year, but that's just me.
And I can show it both ways, it's just, this is, what are you calling this? This is
I
my,
wouldn't, I wouldn't be putting, I wouldn't want to, I mean, this is a clean
locking
document.
them in, right.
This is a clean document as it is. I would just, you have your current year's tax, and then you can discuss what the recommended tax increase would be to make ends meet for the coming year, and then have that hold throughout the remaining 4 years. And then that's, at least people can see the effect, you know, especially if you get this interactive like we've gotten in the past, where
Yeah.
you can look at it
And you
yourself
can.
and, you know, react to it. But
Okay,
I don't want to I wouldn't want to see like a 0.75 tax increase written in our 5-year budget as a matter of course, because that's what people will focus on.
okay.
So you're thinking you'd leave it at whatever, you know,
Just like we have now.
leave it as like what we've got for
Mhm,
this
right.
year. That makes sense. And it might not look as you know, it might
It
not
looks
look as
scary.
nice.
It looks
Yeah,
scary if you
right,
take it out. If
but-
you put it at that, you're
but
at a
it-
$5
but
million
it's-
loss at the end.
But it's really looking at what it would be if we didn't change anything, and I think that's probably what people should probably see.
Right, I mean, you try to forecast your expense, and then you deal with your revenue. So whatever we don't get for the state, you're gonna have to, we only have, you know, cutting programs or something, or, you know, using fund balance, or, like this year, we offset some of it with the Peasers money, but you can't do that forever.
No, that's a
So-
one-time money. That and the fact that the aid ratio is going down, if you notice down at your Peasers, you look down there at 70, it's down there 78.10 and 78.20. You can see the revenue amount that we get back is going down
Yeah.
because of the aid ratio and what they're doing with that BEF and all that formula and whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I've always been a advocate of assigning the money that has already been taxed from, you know, that we've already taken from the taxpayer, and use that first. So it was, for me personally, I was good that, you know, we were able to move 700,000.
Yes.
But, yeah, like you said, you can't do that forever. and then you automatically start with that amount in the hold for the next year. But, okay. So is this a standard report from Skyward, or is this something you still do?
I can download the information, it goes right in there. The numbers, I can bump them right in. So it's kind of a download, it's an Excel spreadsheet, but I download from Skyward on one stage and the formulas, put it all in.
Okay. Anybody, do you have anything, Julia?
That was it?
Mr. Miller, do you have any questions, comments?
No?
Okay. I like it, except for the font maybe, for those of us who has
I was
bifocal.
trying to figure out how to do something to make
I
it
know.
bigger.
It's fine.
But it's so much information.
Yeah, even if you did it like, then all the rows would be really narrow, so, no, it's fine.
But
I think it's probably a,
Yeah, this is,
and it's just a matter of taste, but I think it's probably more important to have it be a single document, even if it's like, got a lot of stuff on it,
yeah,
just.
and,
I'll
you know,
put the
just,
millage on there. I definitely put the millage in and I'll bring that back to the zero.
Yeah, like maybe you can just put it in with the label
the
for
revenue.
611,
Yep.
6111 or something.
Yep, I'll put it right there.
Yeah, something
We
like
went to a
that.
class, we had a class, me, Dr. Cooper, Rob,
Yeah.
and Michelle Zippe. We all went to a budget as a BPM model. This was a BPM model.
Yeah, just anything you can do to
That's nice.
avoid adding another row.
I know, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I'll figure out where I can put it on here.
Yeah.
Well, even at the bottom, the exceptions for retirement contributions, if you see that last block down there.
Yeah.
I can eliminate that because as you see, we're in the negative all the way across. We won't get another exception
Yeah,
for retirement, so there's no, it's not necessary for you to even see that.
yeah, it's true.
And then the one above it is an important one, but it's the effects of less than the Act One millage, the increase. But these charts are really good. It's just for a picture of it. The revenue expenditure trends, it shows you which way we're going. You have your annual percentage changes, the major expenditures changes, the major revenue trends, where your expenditures, it's more of a user type of, more of the public getting an idea as opposed to anybody that's in depth with the finances. And then right here, they have the cumulative effect of not increasing taxes.
you know, and Mrs. Olson's suggestion is a good one to, put up with the, above
Yep.
6111. I would just, color it different so it sticks out, so you
Yeah, just
you
like
can
I did
see.
with that fund balance percentage.
Exactly.
I'll put it in the middle there, because I can eliminate the bottom here, because you all don't need to see the retirement, there's nothing left for us to get there. So I'll take that off, which will then free up some space.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of unrelated to the budget, but for the new board members, I know we had an orientation that the administration should be doing with the new board members, and I think having them go through this and seeing it, we're getting through this budget cycle to help that, but I think January, at the end of January, they still have to come up with
Yes,
so that really it's only a month time if that.
I'll have to be at the finance committee in January.
So
They'll
getting the
have
new
to-
people up to speed on what they're looking at and how things are moving, I think is important. And if we could post this on the website,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we
I'll
have
clean
that
it
out
up a
there.
little bit, put the millage rate in there, which sorry about that, I really didn't, I see that wasn't there.
Do you have a
I-
question? So for the preliminary, you're going to leave it, the taxes as this year, or you're going to?
I'm gonna leave it with zeros in there, it's gonna bring it to a,
With zero increases.
Yeah,
So,
zero
so,
increase.
So it looks like the preliminary budget would have no tax increases, what you're.
that's what I'm gonna say.
Right, until one is determined,
Is that how
in
you
January.
prefer it?
It
Do you
doesn't
have any
matter.
preference either way?
I think that probably looks more pessimistic than should. I can see not having it compounded out year over year, but for next year, I don't think it's realistic, but you can put it out there to start, yeah.
Yeah, because it'll bring your 2021 to a $274,000 deficit. 21-22, you'll be at 1.6 million. 22-23, you'll be at 2.9. 3 million, might as well say 3 million there. Then 23-24 will be a 4.2. And then 24-25, you'll be at a 5.3.
Yeah,
deficit.
I just don't want the assumption, hey, everything's good, we don't have to raise taxes because it's baked in the cake already, so.
And basically, yeah, well, absolutely. The oh my gosh, I can't say the word. Say it.
What word?
Communicative?
No, it's after.
Cumulative?
There you go, thank you.
Yeah, that's
That
the
one.
word. That's
Right,
the
so
one.
Ending fund balance unassigned with no tax increases, as, you know, what we did for the 6 years. If you did it for the 21 all the way through 25, you would have a $10 million, 10.4 million, you basically be bankrupt.
What would it be for next year?
Next
For
year, we
2021?
still have a fund balance. We can eat into our fund balance until 21, 22. 22, 23 is where you'll be at an $834,000 loss.
How about the surplus deficit? How much?
It's a 2.9 million for 2021, for that specific year, you're at a 274 operating loss.
274,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
what is reflected in here is the bond issue that we're talking about now.
Just one
Which
of
is a
them.
small, it's a
Yeah.
small one. But the Series 2015 is a large offering, so,
They're both 10 million.
is it?
Yeah, they can't
What
do
was-
any more than 10 because
I
they're
thought it
doing the
was a
bank.
reasonable size one, remember?
They were both doing 10 million, they couldn't go over 10 million, they have to be,
Didn't we do like the end of one year, beginning of another, next year
and
like
that's
we
what
did
made,
before?
because it's 10 million a year.
Yeah.
So you can't go over 10.
But-
You can't go over 10 million a
But
year.
what, the point is, you're gonna be able to get at those bonds, and depending on what your interest
If
rate.
the interest rate stayed the same, you're looking at even a better than what we had
Yeah.
before, and that was
So
600,000.
that's not even reflected in here.
That second one
Which-
is not reflected. The first one is, the one that we're just about ready to wrap up.
Okay.
He gave me those numbers today, so I was able to put that in there.
I do have another question. I know you're, on the, towards the bottom here, it says effects of less than Act 1 max millage. What are those numbers?
Those numbers are, there's a slide right here that actually shows you the effects of not increasing the budget, not increasing to the Act 1 index, the allowable. When you decide to do a .75, you're leaving money on the table.
Right, but we don't know what the maximum millage is for out years, right? It's set every year.
We basically you can forecast that out. Like this year's a very high year. We have our index is 3.4, but last year it was a 3.1.
Okay.
So we can basically figure if this year's 3.4, I use 3.3, 3.2, 3.1 for the years that go out, just for sake of, you kind of look at what it was. I mean, next year they could only give us a 1.8,
Yeah, well,
but
I mean,
I don't
when-
find that, you don't understand what
when
I'm
you
saying?
say you're leaving money on the table, it's not just the table, it's like tables of all the people that live in.
That's what I'm
In
saying.
the town, in the school district,
When
you
you're
know, so.
looking at it from a budget
so-
perspective, it's not any disrespect or anything, it's not intended that way. What I'm
Yeah,
saying
okay,
is,
okay.
this is just to show you, if you don't go all the way to the allowable, this is the money that's left.
Got it.
That's all that is. It's a way of looking at things.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have.
One thing, for the budget, one thing we were talking about is when we're going through the budget cycle and you're looking at the reports from, month to month, to find out what percentage of the budget has been consumed by the different, all the drivers as we go through the year. So you can see, when you get to April, like, well, that one has 60%, so they were 40% off on their, unless it's a late year kind of purchase thing where you're going to get that 40% caught up. That was one thing that the board members had.
As I mentioned, that there is, that is like one of the pages of the report that comes in, is it every other month or once a quarter that gets attached to the,
The monthly?
yeah.
That is a monthly treasury report.
Okay.
Because of the audit, you did not see.
Oh, we were behind.
You saw
I
the
got
2
it.
months in 1 month.
I got it.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
if
so
there's
it-
a different way you
it-
want to see it,
That's what I was going to get to, is that I think some of the information that you're wanting is in that document that we get once a month. Because, we got like what, we got September and
August and
August at
September.
the same time,
Yes.
right? And, but maybe it can be tweaked to add
Yeah, I think
more
that-
info, because there is, it's almost what you're asking for.
There was so much information in there, I cut it
And it-
completely back.
Right, and
And
it's,
then I
and
wait
it's
for
hard to
people to
find,
ask
it's
me,
hard
and
to
then
find a
I'll-
balance between this and.
Yeah, without creating a lot of,
Yeah,
without
Exactly.
creating a lot of work.
I don't want you to have a 90-page report.
right, and.
But if there's a certain way,
But
like
I
I can
can-
break it down by function, I can break it down by
I think
building.
having a good forecast, if we know when the money's gonna be spent, having a real forecast would be good. If you have a line item where you know money's gonna be spent 3 months out, you can forecast that into the actual.
That's called the encumbrance, and yes, the encumbrance is on those reports.
Okay.
We always encumber everything, the girls are told to put it in all their POs. If I know a contract, if I have a contract at the beginning of the year, all those POs are put into the system, because everything has to be put in by a PO. So they know that I've already put in for the trainer at the middle school for athletics. That PO is in there, in the encumbrance column, you'll see it. So
Okay.
the encumbrance plus the activity is what we basically spent for the year.
Okay, I was just thinking a clean report showing the amount budgeted and the amount forecast, which would show the money that's actually been spent and the money that you.
And the
intended.
budget's
Yeah.
on the other side, that's that main report.
I get
but
your,
it's-
I get what you're saying about like,
It's there.
in the past, there, you kind of pared that monthly report down a little bit because there was a lot there. You said that you just took you were just did some training where you learned a little bit about like sample reporting, and do you think that there might be a template for monthlies in there that we might be able to adapt to our purposes? To make it just a little bit more like what you've got plus a little more and not like all the things.
That's
You know
gonna
what I'm
be
saying?
even at the different school districts I've been at, everybody
Yeah.
kind of does their own thing
Oh, and
based
I
on the
understand.
board that they want. There's not even like, the template you get is what's required for me.
I gotcha.
I have to report to you by function, I have to give you the activity for athletics and the
Mm-hmm.
student activity funds. But if there is a specific report, if you want to, if you want to sit down or you want to,
Yeah, I'm wondering
Sit down
because
and
Mike
tell
is
me.
Mike
I
is
can create
this is Mike's
anything.
his last finance committee meeting that he's chairing because we don't do one in December,
Right.
and you're gone. Maybe we can sit down.
if we
and
sit
see
down,
if
I
we
can
make
create
some
anything
changes.
out of the Skyward.
Because I get what
reporting
Mr.
people.
Miller is saying. There are some things that could be added to make it a little bit more useful, but still clear. It's like once you get to a certain point with the amount of information, it's no longer a clear document.
Exactly.
And
That's
but,
why I
but,
took a
but there
lot
might be
out
some more
and
that
made
you
just
can
what we
add.
needed,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I figured if somebody,
Yeah, I know you have some
Things,
ideas.
that I'd see.
that'd be perfect. You tell me what the ideas
I
are,
gotcha.
and I can create whatever we want.
That works, and we'll get together and make those discussions because Mr. Miller and I'll still be here.
Well, I want the
Still
packet
be
to
here.
also be very useful. There's no point in me doing a packet of information
Yeah.
that isn't useful for everybody. I
Yeah.
know what I have to put in there based on our
I
policies and
understand,
this,
yep.
that, and the other.
So
But
we might be able to
anything-
add some more things beyond the required that we might want to see.
Absolutely,
But
that makes it easier for you guys
Yeah.
to see it or understand it.
maybe we can see if we can get some input from the other board members without, asking for, everything
This.
but the kitchen sink. I know, right.
I'll be
Something in
bringing a
between.
binder in every month.
And we can make some
No.
changes. All right, so
Awesome.
that'll be a change.
Yep, anything you guys need.
Okay, is there anything from you,
That was it.
Sullivan? Mr. Miller, nothing else?
Nothing else?
And then the
Then-
resolution will be on the agenda.
Well, we don't, but we can't recommend it from the finance committee because we didn't have
Say it
3
was
people.
discussed at the, it
Yeah,
was
just-
discussed, but that was about all we can do. But I
Yeah.
do have the one from Suber's office.
We can have a discussion at the cow if anybody asks, and then,
Yeah,
We can go for that. That way at least it's done.
okay. All right, so we'll wrap up the finance committee at 6:50.